Awesome. Welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining today's Fortinet and CDW Managed SASE webinar. We're excited to dive into how organizations can secure their hybrid environments with a powerful integrated SASE approach. We're joined by two industry experts who bring a wealth of insight and leadership in cybersecurity. Ben Boydoku is a strategic cybersecurity advisor and the chief cybersecurity strategist at CDW Canada. With over 2 decades of cross-industry experience, Ben leads the Cybersecurity Services Strategy and Development Division. He equips senior leaders with the frameworks they need to drive secure digital transformation and resilient business outcomes. Ted Maniatis is a seasoned cybersecurity professional and regional sales manager at Fortinet. Ted plays a critical role in advancing Fortinet's security solutions across Canada. He is widely recognized for his expertise in secure access service edge, network security, and Fortinet's flagship SecOps fabric. Let's jump in and hear from Ben and Ted on how organizations like yours can take a simplified, scalable, and secure approach to SASE.
Thank you, Sabrina. Thank you, Ben. Good afternoon and good morning for those out in the western parts. As Sabrina mentioned, I'll be outlining some of the evolutions in the cybersecurity posture and framework, things that are very critical in the cyberspace today. And alongside with CDW, we've created this great partnership and model to help you build that model. Fantastic. Let's begin the journey. Quickly, Fortinet, for those who haven't known and have heard from us, we're one of the largest cybersecurity companies in the world and one of the most trusted. We've been revolutionizing and redefining network security for 25 years, leveraging machine learning and other technologies for a better part of 15. And Canada's got a major part in that presence. Fortinet's origins began in Canada. Our largest threat and FortiGuard Labs is located in Burnaby, BC, and we boast almost 3,000 employees across the country. So from there, we're helping redefine and rescale Fortinet's fabric and the revolutionary security postures that organizations need today in building efficacy. Moving along, we have to understand some of the trends and challenges that we see in the workforce. Since COVID, things have changed. Organizations are moving a lot of workloads into the cloud, using SaaS more frequently, changing up their posture, but still keeping a hybrid approach. So that scalability has grown. But how do you protect that? And that's one of the reasons the evolution of cybersecurity is very important in understanding where a Fortinet ecosystem and a SASE ecosystem can help you build that posture. Because today organizations are challenged with workloads being spun up on the fly, resources working remotely at will, and organizational changes all over the globe. But before we begin, let's begin with a bit of a technology primer. Today, you're going to hear a few acronyms and some concepts that may be new. And that's why for those who are new to this technology, I wanted to first address some of the terms. First and foremost, zero trust. That's a fantastic term and a strategy that's really built around protecting users, devices, and applications. The idea here is to build a model of explicit trust across the board, wherever you are geographically. Software-defined WAN, SD-WAN. It's a modern approach to networking that uses software to manage and optimize WAN connections. Why is that important? Business continuity is a big part of today's world. Operations cannot stop. Global demand seeks the opportunity for you to build a model that's resilient and redundant as possible, and SD-WAN drives that. Secure Service Edge. It's a cloud-based framework that provides secure access to applications for users and data. Now, it's very critical to understand this model because it encompasses a number of different technologies. Secure Web Gateway, for example, is a firewall in the cloud type of solution, and there's into that model as well. Secure Service Edge is a very important model because it is the foundation of SASE. SASE, Secure Access Service Edge, is fundamentally the combination of business continuity tools such as SD-WAN, along with Secure Service Edge models to provide you that full, explicit, secure, visible cloud model across your entire network. That said, let's talk about the business challenges. So some of the business challenges that we see today, and probably the most common one, is direct internet access. And My colleague Ben will talk a lot about that along the way. But what it comes down to is the understanding that a remote user or a user in the office needs it protected the same way. And today they're not. And they're not monitored and they're not, you know, followed throughout the network. And there's always going to be a challenge in troubleshooting these resources or even protecting these resources overall. And that's where VPN technology came into play. How can we adjust around that, deliver the content securely? But along the way, those also had challenges. Users, again, were not really protected explicitly underlying the internet access that they already had. And on top of that, they were having communication issues. And that's where the third challenge came in, routing. So routing in and itself is a big issue because it ties into business continuity, but also ties into efficiency, right? How efficient can my users be if the data is not getting to them at all, or it's taking really long? So from that perspective, how do we break that cycle and help that? Again, the strategies of organizations moving to cloud, global workloads, consolidations, mergers and acquisitions, these things are all driving these business complexities today. So in order for an end user to get just a general internet access or to have some level of visibility and protection in the cloud for their applications and others files, on top of the fact that you have to have day-to-day business continuity with your partners as well from a B2B perspective. So all these things are very critical. That said, the industry today is recommending a SaaS model based on the principles I just discussed. Zero trust being a big part of that explicit access to applications and files. The architecture of SASE, again, the cloud approach to security, given that broad range for the ecosystem of the network. And along with the business continuity tools of SD-WAN, those all combine into that architecture, as I was mentioning. But for most organizations, they're tasked with building an ecosystem with multiple products and solutions to cover this. Again, there's not very many organizations like Fortinet that can do that all in one. And that's the challenge. The second challenge organizations face, besides the business challenges, is that ability to build that network. Well, that's where Fortinet and CDW can come into play because we can make that simple for you. The simplification of deploying a network and managing a network is very important to the consumer today. And so from this perspective, we can build that zero trust model. We can build that architecture from a SASE perspective, that's edge, and incorporate all the other solutions that are required for that business continuity and security, whether it's the SD-WAN, secure access from an internet perspective, secure access from a application perspective, we can secure with what they call secure cloud access service broker, which is CASB. And so from that perspective, it gives you that full picture. But what makes it unique to Fortinet and the consumer when leveraging our technology is our differentiators in that space. So first and foremost, we have a single operating system that drives the whole ecosystem. And that whole ecosystem is very important because it integrates with our other technologies like our firewalls, and our endpoint agents in order to provide that unique functionality. Second is the central management of the solution. So we're able to provide you a single GUI to configure all of the foundations of the SASE solution and build that ecosystem. Third, analytics, it's very analytics driven, and all the information you have can be integrated into a SOC. So that's where, again, CDW comes into play and can help you manage that environment from a data lake perspective. And then finally, the simplicity of a single agent to provide a number of functionalities from endpoint protection to the zero trust capabilities to the cloud access service broker functionality that I mentioned. And that's predominantly to manage and leverage SaaS applications and be protected again in the cloud when you're accessing SaaS applications. And finally, something very new to the marketplace, digital experience monitoring, being able to follow that user and making sure that the application they're accessing is actually working. So if something times out, for example, this call, how would we know what was at fault? So we're able to troubleshoot those things in a much more efficient manner. And those are all powered by AI-driven security services that are brought to us by, again, FortiGuard Labs and our AI functionality. Now, just a quick note on zero trust. That model is very important in building a security posture. And for those out there who have considered it, consider how easy it integrates with a SASE solution. And it's very important. This gives you the functionality of deploying rights to specific users where they're bound not to have access to critical data and applications if they didn't have to be, and so forth. From there, you build that, you build limits in that network access alone, right? And then the value in continuing with that posture check is the fact that we do continuous reviews of these access rights every 60 seconds. So from that perspective, you have the ability to, in near real time, validate a user's posture and then, if needed, quarantine them out of the network. And that plays a big part in ransomware threats. And the fact that bad actors who get into the network, especially in networks that don't have zero trust policies, have much, much easier time getting around and causing issues and and at any point encrypting the data of a client. That said, how do we protect that from a unified approach? As I was mentioning, Fortinet has built a unified model where no matter whether you're in the office or remote or in a branch environment, you have full protection and control. So that integration is very seamless from that single operating system perspective that I mentioned, providing the fundamentals of all those security tools that you see on the right-hand side. Secure Web Gateway, that's going to be a big part of the secure internet access program that CDW has into play, and all the other services that I mentioned there, including the SD-WAN functionality, is part of the solution that's driven today, all inclusive of the licensing that you see. And so from that perspective, you got a single console with a single data lake that provides the proper enforcement, AI powered. To give you a perspective of our infrastructure globally, Fortinet boasts over 160 locations and points of presence. Natively, we have a collaboration along with Google globally to provide that structure, but on our own, Fortinet has over 20 of its own POPs. These fundamentally have all been enabled with the same operating system technologies, the FortiSASE console, and all the existing and other services along with it. And so from that perspective, it's a seamless deployment for any client who wants to do it geographically and natively to Canada, North America, or overseas and globally. So we have a structure and expandability in the service that can provide all of that flexibility for you. So in the end of the day, the journey is very simple. We can provide you a very cost-competitive TCO solution with enhanced performances through SD-WAN and business continuity, and we tie that in with secure connectivity and access to your cloud apps and your remote files. And overall, we build around a zero trust posture to deliver on that messaging. And to show some proof in the pudding, these are actual results and information from our existing clients today. We've seen organizations see up to 50% reduction in man hours on operation, up to 60% reduction in TCO and consolidation of services and leveraging unified SASE approach, and 10 times improvement in performance as well. So before I hand it off to my colleague Ben, I wanted to highlight the fact that we are recognized in industry and across the board in the industry, and many analysts like Gartner and others in this space as well. So we have a lot of information on that on our website. And then finally, the approach that we have with CDW is really the unification, flexibility, and intelligence. We're able, through a single console, to simplify your configurations and your management. We're able to provide flexible policy enforcement, and we have a secure global presence. Overall, our AI intelligence and threat modeling is second to none globally. And again, the presence of a Canadian staff, the expertise that we have locally boasts an additional differentiator for our customer base. Ben, I'd like to hand it over to you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Ted. And thank you for everyone for having me. Hopefully you should be able to see my screen. I'm going to talk a little bit more about how we take this approach to SASE with FortiSASE and how we at CDW are able to manage it for your organization. So very quick agenda. We're going to just talk about the borderless challenge. The slide is going to look very similar to what we saw with Ted's slide. We'll talk about some of the key priorities for security leaders, for IT leaders, some of the strains from trying to do it yourself or go it alone, why FortiSASE with CDW, our real world scenarios, and where do we go from here. So the borderless challenge, this slide looks very familiar. It's because during the pandemic, post-pandemic, we've come to work in different ways now. So now we're working with a hybrid environment of remote users, in-office users, Or one quote that I like to use is when we have 10,000 employees logging in from 50 different countries across 2,000 or 200 cloud apps, our attack surface isn't what it used to be. It's not branch offices with firewalls doing scans, etc. It's almost limitless. And our clients, we're looking to secure tool, like we're looking to securing our environments that don't look like what they did 5 years ago. So before I get into FortiSASE or our management services, etc., really want to talk about some of the business priorities and what we were looking to achieve in assisting with when building out this service. So whether it's scalability, ensuring that we're able to grow alongside with our customers, or enhanced security, ensuring that we have the best best of breed and fit for purpose security solutions in the environment, improved performances, cost efficiency, or simplified management. These are ways that we are able to assist our customers with their business priorities. So why FortiSASE? Why choose to manage that? Why now? Again, it's a hybrid world, and we understand some of the strains in trying to manage these environments internally. Whether you have a team of one, which may be your IT admin slash security admin, or a larger team, there's a lot of telemetry, there's a lot of alerts, there's alert fatigue, and we're going to be able to assist with that. With network complexity, we're able to assist in architecting the right architecture for your environment and proactive monitoring. I'll get into it, but to be frank, we have 24/7, 365 monitoring as part of our offering. So in terms of the strains, we know currently that choosing the best tool for X, the best tool for Y, the best tool for Z leads to tool sprawl. And sometimes you don't have true integration. One of the key benefits of FortiSASE, as Ted mentioned, is having all of these tools in one unified operating system that we can manage and assist our organizations with. The other piece is overstretched teams. Again, whether small teams or moderate-sized teams, there's a lot to consider when you're looking at designing, deploying, monitoring, and managing dynamic edge architecture. And it's making sure that you have the right expertise as well as the time to actually commit towards this. And then as well, if you're looking at missteps, at the end of the day, a small misconfiguration could lead to real world consequences. So how do we assist in relieving the strain? As I mentioned, we're able to come in, take your FortiSASE implementation, deploy it for you, manage for you, operate it for you, architect it for you, and provide you with the reporting that you need to carry on with your business. So some of the things that we manage, 24/7, 365 monitoring, ensuring that you have software updates for your infrastructure, any instance configurations that we need to do, we will take care for you. Any changes, minor changes, major changes, we're able to do that within a short SLA window, making sure that we monitor for the health and performance of your actual infrastructure, as well as providing you with the monthly reports. One thing to say as well, we didn't put together a managed service team just to take care of this solution. We have a matured overall, a secure overall managed security operations team. We are certified with ISO 27001. We're tested to AICPA SOC 2, as well as PCI DSS. We make sure that we eat our own dog food. We make sure that we're able to protect your critical data with the same rigor that we advise organizations to do. And we're an all Canadian SOC and NOC team based out of Toronto and Calgary. And not only that, we make sure that we foundationally have enterprise tools to manage our customers. So whether it's ServiceNow, Science Logic, or Ansible, we have the right tools in place to integrate all this information, the alerting, the telemetry from FortiSASE, and provide that next level of management services. And why are we trusted to deliver? I'm not going to read off all of the stats or all of our expertise with Fortinet, but we're a pretty big deal with Fortinet and our expertise. Whether it's the awards we win, whether it's the resources we have, the certifications, we have the internal staff, the internal bench to deliver on our commitment to our customers, especially with the FortiSASE managed offering. What I'm going to do now is pass it off to my colleague Sia. He's a senior field solutions architect with the solution architecture team, and he's going to walk through a few scenarios with you technically on how we can deliver this. Sia?
Thank you, Ben. Yep. Yeah, that's as Ben mentioned, I am one of the security solution architect in CDW. We got the whole team working in lots of our solution like SASE. I just want to mention that we met you wherever you are. Either you are the new SASE journey as a greenfield customer, or you have sort of presence with the Fortinet device and equipment in your environment, or even if you want to migrate from a different vendor to the SASE, you switch to the FortiSASE, we are here to help. So our team of solution architect can help you with the scoping the call, identify what you need, what you have today, what are the use cases, and give you that overall design, and our great PS team can deploy that. And if it's needed, you can continue with our managed service for any of these cases. These are the several service modules that's coming with the FortiSASE. As Ted a little bit mentioned about that, we got several use cases we cover. We can have provide all the pre-sales, professional services, and some managed service capability for these FortiSASE modules and use cases. SIA, secure internet access, usually is where they enable that secure internet access. This is usually, we can see that the first module that lots of our customers start with. For the second option, usually we can see the secure private access for application. This give you that the explicit application access under a zero trust access with either SD-WAN or SSE module. That's a great replacement for VPN. And finally, we got the SaaS control and data protection is usually coming from the compliance, loss of the DLP, as well as the CASB. So technically, you can address lots of shadow IT in your environment with the SaaS control and data protection. There are two modules also for a secure internet access for a branch location, which is the Fortinet is one of the single vendor can provide that participation of the FortiAP, Forti extender into their SASE platform. This is give you that great ability to be flexible for your team location and branches, as well as that obviously the FortiGates, the great firewalls, they can participate in a FortiSASE with a thick edge and being then SD-WAN on-ramp for even with the third-party approved routers to connect it to the SASE platform. This is a question lots of time our customer asking, where do I start? Again, this is up to your use case. Where do you want to start? But based on our observation, most of the customers prefer to start with the agent-based secure internet access. That's a less aggressive approach because technically you need to have the FortiSASE client on end users. It gives you great control and seamless security control for off and on network. Then we got the teenagers. If you have any presence of the Forti extender, FortiAP, that can be that participate in your SASE platform. We also see the lots of SPA, secure private access for an internal application. If you have a ERP or in-house application in your data center, the SPA can help a lot in these cases. Lots of our customers who want to migrate from the VPN and see as a ZTNA or zero trust overall, they choose the SPA. And if you have a cloud presence, obviously Ted mentioned that about that, the number of the SaaS application we can see that these days company works with, definitely SSA give you the great visibility and control that. But there is no right and wrong really. We review use cases and we can hand holding them whenever you want on with our professional services and our managed services. I put two scenarios again all together quickly. It might be a little bit technical, but obviously feel free to reach out to your sales rep, one of us in a security team. We are very happy to have this open discussion. again, I put these two scenario because I receive a lot of requests from a customer. These are real world scenarios. A customer reach out to me and said that, okay, I have the greatest firewall in my environment. We have all the compliance, all the policies. What if my user travel to another country? Or we all know about the COVID story that lots of the remote users start working out of the office, off the network. So in direct internet access is not secure. Another problem I see, especially from the IT operational perspective from the companies, that users don't have a seamless security control when they are in working from the office or working from the coffee shop. So secure internet access, either for remote or branch users, is a great use cases. Again, great starting point, enabling the secure access for all users, regardless where they're working from. Some of these challenges Ted mentioned about that, inconsistent security posture is one of the pain points. Lots of customers bring it up. Limited threat protection because you either split tunneling the traffic for the user, you don't have any control or visibility. What are they doing? And lots of shadow IT and unsanctioned application also come into the picture when you don't have a control. But one of the important part, which also related to other use cases, you always can continuously do the posture check on a devices. Solution, FortiSASE secure internet access, remote employee either in a branch or direct to the internet can have a same security posture and control. On the next slide, I talk about the other very frequent request coming from our users is journey from VPN to the ZTNA access. Again, as you know, I just put a small table here to comparing that VPN versus ZTNA. Obviously, one of the challenges that either for your internal users or for contractor, third-party user, bring your own devices, use cases. When you give the VPN access, technically you give the key of the castle to the user. So we traditionally try to put some segmentation, obviously try with the subnets, but the beauty of the ZTNA is this create the specific tunnel per application, per user, per session, but in top of that also frequently check the user posture. So if the user come to your network and after 1 minute, for example, for whatever reason, their antivirus or EDR agent is disabled, the policy, the security tech can catch that. And obviously you can have a policy decision on that behavior, block the access from the users. This is also, we have this discussion with lots of our customer. Again, traditional VPN provide a broad implicit access to the entire network resources. We having now is obviously still lots of user working from home or the third-party contractor. We want to make sure that we have a seamless solution for them with the FortiSASE Zero Trust network access portion, which is a part of the Zero Trust philosophy. Secure private access helping in this case, remote access to the internal apps. Again, like if you have any ERP, HR, or any internal apps, you can provide and define the policy with the SPA for them, and is give that gradual VPN access to them. Feel free to reach out if you have any other use cases. Ben will describe on our SASE campaign, and yeah, we are here to help you.
Thanks, Sia. And as Sia mentioned, in terms of what to do next, now you don't have to trust my QR code. I understand. We're all security people. I did put the long URL at the bottom as well, but feel free to go onto our site, fill out the form, or give us a call or talk to your account manager, and let's have a further conversation on how FortiSASE could help your organization move towards future architecture. And on behalf of Sia, myself, and Ted, thank you for your time today. If you have any questions or what questions you have for us, we do have time to go through questions right now.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the really great presentation, Ted, Ben, and Sia. You've covered a lot of really valuable ground on how FortiSASE and CDW's managed services can support secure, scalable hybrid work. I'm not sure if anyone has any questions, but to keep the conversation going, I've prepared a few questions to dive a little deeper into some of the topics we touched on. So these are questions we often hear from customers, and they might also be top of mind for many of you joining us today. So the first question is, can you walk us through how our 24/7 monitoring and support model works in practice? For example, what happens if something goes wrong at 2 a.m.?
All right, so our certified network operations center team monitors your FortiSASE environment around the clock. We have automated alerting, etc. If an issue arises, whether it's a connectivity drop, performance degradation, or a threat alert, we'll investigate it, we'll respond, and we'll resolve it proactively. We'll provide timely updates and a summary of the actions taken, so you're never left guessing. But again, our network operations center is 24/7, 365.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. The next question is, what exactly do we take off the customer's plate with our managed FortiSASE service, and what responsibilities still remain with their internal team?
That's a good question. I'll take that one as well. Um, we handle everything, as I mentioned in the slide, from the 24/7, 365 platform monitoring. We do the software updates, any configuration management for performance tuning, and we also take care of the monthly reporting. So our customers team doesn't need to have deep SASE expertise or worry about the day-to-day operations. We take care of that. Um, our customers retain the overall strategic control, like defining business goals, approving major changes, reviewing outcomes, but we're your hands-on keyboards, and we're here to really assist you in your journey and making sure that you're running at an optimal state.
Awesome. Thanks, Ben. The next question is, a lot of our organizations struggle with alert fatigue and tool sprawl. How does our managed service help simplify their environment and keep the focus on what really matters?
Ted, I'll throw that one to you in terms of the unified experience, and then I could take it from a managed perspective.
Absolutely. Fantastic question. So, as I was saying earlier, geographically, we've got POPs all over the globe and we've got redundancy built into that. So, we've got a 24/7 SOC managing that whole entire platform, and you've got visibility on your specific connections and POPs right off the dashboard of the solution. Ben?
And from a managed standpoint, we're able to take this now and incorporate it into how we design, architect, and deploy the solution within your environment.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Ben and Ted. So we do have a question on the chat from Chris. So he mentioned our center always employs redundant FortiGates, FortiSwitches, and FortiAPs. We also use Fortinet VPN licenses for remote workers. Will this reduce time or cost in onboarding this solution?
I can begin with that. Absolutely. It's very easy to integrate and deploy FortiSASE today. Not just beginning with the integration, there is a onboarding tool within some of the licensing that exists, along with the integration and partner relationship in building that configuration.
Yeah, but just want to add to that is not only reduce the time and cost from the onboarding perspective, but also reduce loss of the operation and learning curve for your internal IT team as well. Because FortiSASE got the same look and feel that as all the Fortinet fabric products provide. So it's quite familiar from the looking at the licensing perspective or relation with our managed service or deployment. So you are halfway there.
More than halfway, I would say.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, exactly. It's just a
That's a
matter
good
of
point.
switching the complaint. Yeah, I'm coming from
Absolutely.
the customer side, so these are real challenges for the internal IT team really to deploying.
Mm.
So if the sysadmin, and the team is familiar with that product, it's much more easier to onboard a new tool.
Absolutely.
Awesome. Thank you so much for the great answers. And Chris, hopefully that answers your question. I guess another question that I'd ask is, how does FortiSASE help address insider threats within our managed offering?
Oh, fantastic question. I'll take that on. So earlier on, I was talking about how zero trust is a big part of integrating and protecting against insider threats and the bad actors. And that's very important because providing explicit rights to applications and parts of the organization is very important as a first step. The second step is actually already part of the solution in the licensing, and that's the advanced, security applications and services that Fortinet offers to their subscription licensing. So the platform itself is just like the firewall, as he was saying, right? So there's deep packet inspection, there's application control, there's the antivirus services, all those things that you may have known with this Fortinet solution is already baked into FortiSASE and the technology, and you're actually able to leverage that and the zero trust to build that model. And it's very, very important to understand, and anybody who's looked at zero trust, that microsegmentation is a big part of that, and zero trust does it the best. Thanks.
Awesome. Ben, Sia, do you have anything else to add to that?
Not necessarily direct answer to that, but just want to mention that because Fortinet got a fast track workshop, which is focused on lots of these zero trust. I've been in Edmonton a couple months back, conduct one of these workshop for our customers. It's a great opportunity. Feel free to reach out if you want to really see these solutions in action. We can set up that workshop for you. And you can get a hands-on, beautifully can see all this feature. One of the best of those workshops was the zero trust or ZTNA in overall. I'm sure I like that. So, yep.
Awesome. Thanks, Sia. Another question is, can you explain how our solution supports identity-based access and multi-factor authentication?
Yeah, sure. I can start off with that. So it's very important to understand most organizations today will leverage some level of multi-factor integration within their environment. And these solutions have to be built to support these things. So fundamentally, FortiSASE, just like our firewalls and other operating systems, support integration with third-party identity providers, Okta, Entra ID, SAML, our authentication tools, FortiAuthenticator, and such. So it's easy to help kind of integrate that model from many perspectives for logging, reporting, understanding what the user is doing, what tools they're leveraging, whether it's VPN or others. So, and critically, also what other security tags are within the identification for within a policy, for example, if you enable those security models like web filtering or IPS, you're able to track the user application and all the information within the policy as well. So that's very important to have that identifier and that level of security as far as accessing tools as well. I don't know if Sia wanted to add anything else to that.
Sorry, I like to talk. IT people like to talk. The identity is one of the most pillar of the zero trust philosophy. So when our teams, SA teams talk to a customer, usually we want to emphasize on that. Proper authentication or IDP in your environment is critical for your zero trust journey. So that, and we saw that in the next gen firewall already, lots of the policy based on the user base stuff. Those are important one. And also Fortinet got a good solution on that. So lots of Forti token, Forti for all the multi-factor authentication. Those are is a part of the ecosystem. You can rely on those.
See, I appreciate that. Thank you very much, Sia, for that.
Yeah.
Thanks, Ted and Sia. I guess the next question is FortiSASE cloud native and redundant? How do we typically deploy it for customers?
Fantastic. So to begin with, when you subscribe to the solution, it is cloud-based. So you would be accessing, a pane of glass that's in the cloud, operationally, just like the firewall as explained by Sia, and you're allowed to build your configurations there for your remote users and other policies that need to be entered. That said, you start off with a minimal amount of points of presence from a connectivity perspective. You start off with 4 in one of our plans, and you can grow that fundamentally if you've got a global environment. So the scalability first and foremost, and redundancy is without a doubt global. We have the ability to reroute traffic and have that uptime and availability for the service and solution. But also at the customer level, when they're building their configuration, rest assured they have redundant configurations in the cloud and within the structure of the service based on the number of POPs they're able to access.
Thanks, Ted. I just have a few last questions to ask. So how does FortiSASE integrate with a customer's existing security tools or identity providers, and how do we support reporting?
Great question. Very much like our security solutions that exist today, we have the ability to integrate with any third-party logging tool or other threat model solution at current availability. We do have our own, and natively they're actually built into the tool. So right out of the box, you actually get a feature-rich solution by Fortinet that gives you visibility, reporting, a great graphical user interface. But if you need to log to a system information event management tool, SIM, or other logging resource, we can send the data out to these other tools for analysis. And CDW is leveraging similar types of technology when they're leveraging their managed portfolio as well. It's just a matter of how we can seamlessly integrate. Sia, you may want to add comments as well on that.
No, I think that was great explanation. Don't quote me on that, but as I prefer methods these days is SAML really for integration the IDP into the SASE. That's you have a greatest security control. You usually have a less headache is integrated with your either intra ID or any other toolkit you got. That's my recommended method for integration, the identity into your SASE.
Thanks, Ted and Sia. So I have one last question, I promise. What does scalability look like with our FortiSASE offering, particularly for growing organizations or those with multiple branches?
Wow, I don't know what the ceiling is for that answer as far as how we can integrate globally. Yeah, the scalability is there from an SD-WAN perspective, from a number of users and redundancy perspective. We can scale up pretty well without getting into heavy technical conversations, just on the number of POPs that we can leverage and the number of users we can push through each POP and the configurations. It's pretty big. So this is perfect for any size customer, whether you're a small business or enterprise. There's no limitations here. The technology is good for everybody. It's what we need to evolve into the cybersecurity next level for sure.
So it's truly like we say, we meet our customers where they are.
Absolutely.
Love that. Thank you so much for all of the great answers and for the feedback from all of the other customers that attended this call. I'm not too sure if anyone else has any additional questions. If not, we could wrap up the webinar.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you very much.
So much having us.
Awesome. Thank you so much, everyone.
Have a good day.